Welcome back to In the Reel with your host Eric. Appreciate you folks listening in. Here we are, beginning of July. The June month is behind us. For all those who participate in that stuff, for those that are interrupted by it, we'll say it's over. Yay! Well, I've been doing some thinking. I'm going to try and tell you what I'm going to talk about up front here, kind of give you an agenda, if you will, and then stick to it pretty much in order. And that way, in my title, it will correspond, hopefully, with what you're going to listen to. All right. So today, I'd like to talk about Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, or Indiana Jones 5. I don't think they're all numbered at all. I think they just have their title and subtitle kind of thing. Not that that's unique, but yeah, I'm going to talk about that. And Dyl Mul is stirring the pot again with the Anhiser brewery. So we'll give some thoughts about that. I think I'm going to cap it off with just those 2/3 things. The last two kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, so just dive right in. Indiana Jones. Now, I saw some of the Indiana Jones stuff way back when, they were first coming out. Don't really remember them as much as them being anything special. Just, hey, they were movies. They were what they were. And fun, entertaining ones, no big deal. Later on in life, when there was only the three of them, watched them, was like, oh, this great show. It really is a good show. And when the fourth one came out, the Crystal Skull one, people didn't like it. And I'm going to look at you and tell you that it's had some far-fetched stuff to it, maybe. Didn't expect to have alien things in that particular series of movies. But, hey, why not? I was entertained by it. And bringing back, oh gosh, what's her name? Miriam, I think, is her character's name, and I forget the actress's name. If you're a fan, you know what I'm talking about. It was cool to see her, aged. Indy had a son, that kind of business. That was kind of a fun little twist on it. I could nitpick about little things in there that I found were probably useless and worthless. At the end there when Mutt was harping on Indy when, I think the line was, why don't you stick around? And he goes, why didn't you, Dad? And it's like, well, he didn't know you were there. He didn't leave because of you. That had nothing to do with anything. Circumstances were not around the ways of him leaving anybody kind of thing, But, that's just splitting hairs with stuff. Hey, I didn't write the movie. It is what it is. So, now coming up to the fifth installment here, Dial of Destiny. I was excited for it, and then I started hearing some things about it and started kind of paying attention to the whisperings that were going on. And then when the Cannes Festival came out, that they screened it there, I should say, people were really not talking well about the movie. And it made me concerned because I was really excited about another Indiana Jones movie. Because Harrison Ford, I really enjoy Harrison Ford's work. Does great stuff. Well, I wanted to see it when it came out, but then with all the negative energy and words that were coming out, I was just like, oh no. And keep in mind, associating the negative projections and roping in what Disney has been doing with some of their movies, it was relatively believable. um, so I was concerned that this movie was going to be ruined with social garbage that's just not necessary. So, because you have to think about it, what the social garbage happening today is really mute to a lot of people. Nobody really cares. There's like 18 people that are making a stink about 14 subjects, and because of the failures of the human condition with social media, it's making it louder than it needs to be, and it's ridiculous. So even though I was hearing that, and I always take the perspective of, well, make up your own mind kind of thing. I took my alarm about the movie and just decided, just don't expect anything out of it. See for yourself and don't expect anything. Just watch it and see what goes on. Well, I think the release was Friday, June 30, and they had some early release like on Thursday, so went to it Thursday evening. And I'm going to be honest, a quick summary, I was entertained. I didn't see the negative perspectives people were saying about it. I mean, you could pick and nitpick scenes here and there and say, "Oh, this was about." And but if you look at the whole movie, that's not what it was at all. Miriam, in the very first one, was doing a lot of helping and saving Indiana from time to time, and she did it in the fourth one. There was a strong character that was a female that was a supportive character of Indiana Jones. And there was also, and that was just Miriam that I'm talking about. But in the second and the third one, there was also a strong female character. I think the second one, she was strong in other ways, in kind of a damsel in distress, more of a comedic way, but she was still saving Indiana Jones from, certain demise from time to time. So there is no new thing about that here. Now in this movie, I'm not going to give you spoilers of anything. I'm not going to tell you what happens in it. I'm going to say, if you like Indiana Jones and you can just look at movies for entertainment value and not go sit down and start nitpicking and criticizing, the writing of it. My take is always this with any movie. It's somebody's writing, somebody's directing. It's all their perspectives. They're not yours. They're just doing it to share it with you. So watch it for what it's worth. If you think you can do better, you go write it, you go direct it, and you make your own movies. They didn't do it for you. They did it generally for you as a fan. But they didn't sit down and think, hey, what about so-and-so? What are they going to think about the movie? That's not what they're after here. They can't do that. Okay, you're talking billions of people on the planet. Everybody looks at things differently. So just take it in from entertainment value. I was entertained. I liked it. I want to see it again so I can focus a little bit more on some parts just to absorb more. But I thought it was a good show. Hey, if it was up to me, I'd do another indie. Absolutely. Get Harrison Ford back to work again, He's getting up there. And eventually he's not going to be able to, do much. So the female in this movie, I believe it's been put out there, is his goddaughter. And, she's a criminal. So, there's no replacing Indiana Jones with this person, with changing genders and stuff like that. That's just ridiculous talk in my eyes. That's even for the James Bond. James Bond is a guy. End of story. He's a womanizer, and that's just the way that it is. There's been strong female characters in a bunch of James Bond movies. If you want to have a female character like James Bond, make your own series that follows their own stories. Don't take it away from the current characters that exist. Those franchises are there and they do well. Leave it alone. Make your own stuff, It's just ridiculous. But I guess that's my position on it. But back to Indiana Jones, sticking on that. It was entertaining. I'm saying that a lot. I don't know what else to say because I don't want to give anything away. But there's a lot of similarities to Temple of Doom. That's the second one, I believe. With Short Run, the way it was in Temple of Doom, Indy caught Short Run trying to steal something from him, and Short Run had a troubled life, and so then they ended up together on adventures. Well, the female character in Indiana Jones 5 has a very similar situation with a young character. So you can see there's a history of Indy's life happening with now somebody else. So it was interesting. I was like, okay, well, you could see it happening, But yeah, her character is not a very good person, but she does do some good things, Goodness, it's kind of hard to debate this on a morality level. It's because it's just a movie, You learn that she's made some bad choices, and she's done some bad things for, the horrible reasons of money. So, and that's really been her demise. And it is what it is. But she's made some decent choices on the levels of humanity. So you're kind of liking her, and you're also kind of disgusted with her sometimes. So ups and downs. The person who played her, I'm sure she's a popular actress. I don't know her name. I don't pay a lot of attention to celebrities and their names and whatnot, unless they happen to be in stuff I really like, and or that's the focus for me. So it's hard for me to explain that to you, but I don't know what her name is. I'm sure she's been in other stuff. She did fine with the character. I don't think she's some superstar or anything, but I'm sure she does fine and holds her own in whatever else she does. So she did fine in the role. I would say it's a good movie, and you should see it. Definitely should see it. If you're a fan of Indiana Jones, just don't go to expect anything. Just go and watch the movie and be entertained. Sit down with your popcorn and your soda and just watch it for what it is. And I think you'll find some appreciation to it. That's my take on it. Yeah, so I'm glad that I saw it in the theater on the big screen. It's always cool to see good movies on a big screen in a theater. I have a big screen in my house, but it's just different going to the theater. So let's keep the theaters going, folks. That's an experience that can be enjoyed. Shut your phones off and shut your mouth and watch movies in the theater. That's the best way to do it. You paid your money to be there. Well, so did everybody else. And, we're in a society. Act civilized. Think of everybody. The standards are higher as a group. So, yeah. One little thing I will tell you is I did watch all the way to the very last credits, and there is no post scene or post credit scene, whatever you call those things. There's nothing in there. So when it's done, it's done. You don't have to stick around. But yeah, Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny. Can't wait till those replicas come out. What the objects, the movie's about the object. I forget the name that it's called, but it's not the Dial of Destiny. It's not what the the object is called. So, yeah, you'll learn about it in the movie. All right, moving on. Well, before we continue on, give a like on this and past ones as well if you wouldn't mind. You can subscribe to my channel. Don't hold your breath for anything. I don't get paid to do this. This is just for free and for fun, my entertainment, and hopefully somebody's getting entertainment out of it. YouTube doesn't pay me, and I'm not looking to make money from YouTube, because that would mean then I probably have to have commercials and abide by some rules that they have, and I'm not getting involved with these things. Speaking my mind, cautiously. So definitely, I would enjoy comments and suggestions on things, by the way, and can't stress it enough. Don't be an a-hole in the comments. There's no need for that. Be constructive. Even just say thanks would be nice. That's fine. But tell your friends about it. Me, the channel. Yeah, it'd be great. But speaking of some YouTube stuff, here's a little extra tidbit I didn't tell you about in the beginning. Jeremy from The Quartering, the YouTube channel The Quartering. I've been, paying attention to most of his stuff recently, and I learned some things from him as well. I don't pay attention to the news. I'll watch it here and there on like what YouTube people find, and if I'm interested, then I'll go research it and find out the data myself. Otherwise, I just watch it and laugh at it. But he's taking a lot of his stuff to a new platform called Rumble. He's still going to be on YouTube, by the way. But check him out. He's pretty even keeled on things. Sometimes his sarcasm is a little bit missed, so you almost think he's saying something that's a little off-putting, but he's just being sarcastic, so he's being funny. So don't misjudge the guy. I forgot why I was bringing him up. Oh, he had spoke about some things that about the Anhiser Busch thing and the Dyl Mul character. And here's the skinny on that. So the CEO came out and talked about some things. Didn't really say it was a mistake to hitch their wagon to a influencer, and one that's in a very social gray area, if you will, which is the DM guy there. But so pretty much what he was saying, and at least the stuff that I heard, it wasn't making any apologies for it, wasn't saying they wouldn't do that again, and didn't necessarily admit to hiring him for anything, just kind of working with them. I'm not sure how to explain that correctly. It kind of all means the same thing, and it kind of all doesn't. The bottom line is that he didn't come out and say anything about, listen, we made a mistake in our marketing practice that certainly did mislead what our message wanted to be. And that's been evident by observers, which is our customers. That would have been good for him to say something along those lines. They're not admitting that, partnering with this influencer was a bad thing, or that was wrong. Just the message with the partnering of them and what was delivered, then followed by the lady who was the marketing vice president person, her words, all that together just made a mess. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Nobody cares about DM and his choices in life. Nobody cares. His business, his issue, don't care. I'm pretty sure 99% of the population doesn't care. Not to say people don't have opinions about it, but they ultimately don't care. What the problem was, when a product that you enjoy decides to do something with somebody like that, and probably incidentally showed support of something that maybe a lot of people have issues with, that bothers people. And here's the thing. When he was promoting his fun little bonus can that he got with his face on it, it had some writing on it that was leading to his 1-year celebration of what he's doing. And that's very controversial in the world. And what you pretty much did was say, hey, we support stuff like this. You probably rubbed some people wrong. And that's not what people want their beer brewers to be supporting and getting into dealing with. That's just brew beer. You've got nothing to do with that other stuff. I've used this example before. If you wanted to include a demographic such as what DM is representing, then you should have shot your regular old commercials and just had him in the background at a bar with your beer in his hand, that notices the camera and just shoots a wave off, and you continue on with your commercial. You just included him in the demographic within your original product placement kind of stuff. You didn't go off the deep end and suddenly erase the history you've been working with and just focus on something. That is a complete change of what you're doing in my eyes. And I think all those things together, and maybe other things that I can imagine, is what's caused the problem. And it's going to take you to admit it. It's what it's going to be. I don't know how long it'll go before people just go the heck with it again, and move on. But your loss is going to be permanent until you just come straight out and say, we made a mistake. And our mistake was the way we went with our marketing. We got involved in something unintentionally that is controversial, and we didn't recognize it as being as such, and so we failed on that path, and we need to do better. That is what you need to say, buddy. Unless you don't want your job anymore. I mean, the shareholders are going to come back eventually and just go, you know what, this guy's got to go. We need somebody in here that's going to start making our product and selling our product, and stop screwing up the social stuff. That's what's going to end up happening, in my opinion. But so, at any rate, the CEO guy does his bit, and then DM does a little wham, a victim, whine about me business when it comes to now all of a sudden Anhiser Busch isn't standing behind this person or next to this person. Well, what did you sell them? Nothing. They're the business. They bought you. You didn't do anything for them. It's time for you to go. They don't need to support you and your choices in the world. They utilized your choices in an attempt to excel in money-making schemes in their business, which what businesses are for. And I don't mean to say that in a negative kind of sound there. I just that's what people do. If they come to me because I'm bald and they want to include bald people, and I didn't increase their bald sales, guess what? I'm done. They didn't stand next to me after because I'm bald. It's just the dumbest thing in the world. And it's all about attention is all I read from what this person did. And that's where I bring up the quartering. I watched that stuff through him because I don't watch influencers like that and their content. I'm not interested. I don't care. So that's why I brought up Jeremy from the quartering. He discussed that and played some of it. So that's where I got information from. Yeah. Matter of fact, if you're going to talk about the reality of life, old DM there, the negative backlash he's been getting, you want that to go away? You should come on and say, listen, I was excited about partnering with this product and thought it would be a very promotional thing and a good thing, and it didn't turn out that way. I need to be more cautious about the things that I get along with, and for the reasons in which I get along with them in business, and that obviously turned out not to be a good fit. people might just leave you alone. And I'm not encouraging anybody to be bothering anybody on a personal level. Bottom line is, he's beating the game. He's making some money. Hey, way to go, buddy. Good for you. I don't agree with what you're saying, but you know what? You found somebody to give you a bunch of money. And you've been finding a lot of people to give you a bunch of money. So good for you. I've got no sympathy for you. Ball up in the fetal position and cry yourselves to sleep. I don't care. There's plenty of people with real problems that aren't crying themselves a river. So, too bad. That's my position on it. But yeah, so that's where that stirring of the pot situation is coming up from DM. Is if you've seen any of the video that he posted regarding that, he's saying things in it, but none of it is personal responsibility. It's what happened to me afterwards and how the other people aren't still having my back for my choices. Like, it's, I don't know what your successes in life have been before all of this, but if you haven't had a lot of successes in the world, this is why. You don't understand. You're part of the failure. And that's that. Nobody cares. I can't say it enough. Nobody cares about your personal choices and how you want to live your life. And when you put yourself out there in the public space, people are going to say things to you that you're not going to like. And too bad. I can say the same thing here. I tell people not to be an a-hole in the comments just because people will read them other than me. And there's no need to be rude and start things that don't need to exist. And you don't know me. Well, maybe some of you do that listen, but generally speaking, out in the internet world, you don't know me. I don't know you. And it's 90% in the position of the possibility you being the listener of this will infer something different than what I'm intending to imply. And that's just life. That's communication. That's why we need to stick around and talk to one another on a personal level, in face-to-face, so we can interact that way without getting bent and pissed off and offended and think our offense matters to somebody else. You need to cut the garbage out. Okay? I just read something, I don't know if it's true or not, about a state possibly passing a law of pronouns, misusing pronouns, having some kind of legal ramifications. Now, I hate to overspeak this, but a long time ago, there was a guy trying to conquer the world, and the reasonings for banning books, certain speech, was to restrict freedom of thought so that communication is limited. Because eventually people are going to look around and go, this isn't seeming like a good idea anymore. We need to do something about this. Well, according to this guy, that means you need to go. And then other people would be like, you know what, let's not say stuff like that. Let's just go with it. Let's not worry about it. That allows for this person to conquer things. Our government in the United States of America is not permitted to do things like that. If anybody in there is voting to do things like that, they are breaking the Constitution in which they're supposed to be upholding. And that's no good. No good at all. I will tell you from a position of being a former soldier, there are things I can tell you I disagreed with, but it wasn't my job to disagree with. It's my job to execute my orders. If I had a problem with those orders, I deal with it after the fact because I don't have all the information as to why those orders are what they are. They come from a place above me that has more information than I have. Regardless of what I believe is good, bad, right, or wrong in our rights, in our laws in this country, you follow them and you uphold those freedoms and those rights. You do your due diligence in an attempt to change them for everybody the correct way. And the correct way is not burning things down. It is not harming people. And it certainly isn't taking freedoms away. That is unacceptable. One of the things that two of the things I'll give you as examples that are very hot topics that distract the citizens of the United States. And the government's more than willing to let it distract you and keep you going and arguing about it because then you don't see what they're actually accomplishing and doing. Okay? Number one, abortions. I know there's morality behind it that people have a hard time with. And don't lie to yourself. When you decide to get an abortion, you're killing a potential life. You are. Okay? Accept it. I accept it. And I say, go ahead. There are people, this will be a little harsh, and I don't mean to be mean, but there are people alive today that should have probably been on that chopping block, in my opinion. But they weren't. So there you go. There's pros and cons. The bottom line is, if that's currently a choice and a right people have, leave it alone. Don't be taking it away. It's an option, a choice. Listen to that, a choice, which means you can do it or not do it. It's entirely up to you. Nobody is forcing you to do one thing or the other. Now, if you take it away, now people are being forced into doing one thing. Choices are gone. You don't want that. I don't encourage people to be going out and getting abortions. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is leave the choice alone. It exists today. Leave it alone. Okay. Next up, firearms. We have that right to bear arms, to protect ourselves, and when necessary, to remove our governing body, if necessary, by force, when they are overstepping their bounds and not listening. To then enact new leadership. It is not about hunting. It's a good tool for hunting. But it's not just about that. It's not about being destructive and harming and killing other people. That's not what that thing is there for. Your Second Amendment rights are there for a reason, people. And if you don't like them, then don't buy them. Don't get involved with them. It's just that simple. And if you think getting rid of them, banning them, I'll say, or creating laws that make it impossible for anybody to get any is going to stop criminals from obtaining them, you're wrong. Criminals don't follow the law. They will find a way to get them and use them when they know the law-abiding citizens can't defend themselves. It is that simple. Now, you may not see it that way, and somehow you think that if they're banned, then all of a sudden the criminals won't have them either. You're wrong. There are criminals walking across the border down around New Mexico there with illegal drugs. Illegal drugs. Let me say that again. Illegal drugs. Yes, not permitted by law, and they're just bringing it over here. Well, so there's an example of a ban on a product that isn't working. And you think doing it to firearms will then change that. The only thing you will do is eliminate law-abiding citizens from executing their civil rights, their constitutional rights. That's all you will accomplish. And the government is going to be more than willing to do that. However, they're wrong for doing that because they're there to uphold the Constitution, not bend it, break it, and rewrite it. The affirmative action thing is something else that is a bit of a hot topic now. Another bonus thing here for you. If you're told to admit people to your college or hire people based on their race, I would say that's a problem. It's on the very basic level, you are making choices based on people's races then. And isn't that, by definition, racist? It doesn't matter if you're doing it because they're black or because they're white or because they're yellow or red or whatever. Whatever one choice is coming up is racist to every other option. So the affirmative action thing that just got changed. Now, I don't know a lot about this. I'm going to admit this right up front. I might be talking way sideways out of my tail here. But if they're eliminating affirmative action, saying you cannot just admit people to your college based on ethnicity, good. This is why good parenting is important. Telling your children you have to try harder. You have to pay attention. You have to shut your mouth in school. It's not a social hour, and learn how to do what you're supposed to do so that you can do well. And when you go to college, you can score well and do better than your classmates or other peers across the country for entry into a college if you want to go. And by the way, pay your own bill. Student debt I'm talking about. It doesn't matter at that point what your skin is, where you came from, where your parents came from. None of that matters at that point. It is all in your hands. And as a child, your hands need to be guided by your parents. If we're just going to base it based on race, ethnicity, stuff like that, country of origin, what about all those people that have worked hard? For that very reason, working hard to succeed. They just get pushed to the side? That's not fair either. Our society is going down with the increase of stupidity. Gimme, gimme, gimme because I deserve it more. Says who? I did. Because of whatever happened 160 years ago, whatever happened 200 years ago, whatever happened when I wasn't alive. It's just ridiculous. Move on. Everybody wants to push back. Nobody wants to just understand civility. I've been pulled over by cops. I am not a white person. I've been pulled over by police for not doing anything wrong. And all I did was cooperate. Even though I disagreed with their action, I cooperated and all was fine. I didn't get shot. I wasn't arrested. I didn't get beat up. Nothing. Moved on, lost some time, pissed off at that, irritated, but nothing bad happened. Shut my mouth, and that's it. It's not difficult, people. If you expect law enforcement to do their job, guess what? It's going to inconvenience some people sometimes. You ever heard a description given about an assailant? Sometimes there's not a lot of data given. And sometimes there's enough data given that many people will fit the description. And when you're approached by law enforcement because you fit a description, well, if you're not guilty of anything, cooperate. You got nothing to worry about. You cooperate, they find out, guess what? You're not who they're looking for. Go on your merry way. But if you resist, now you can make bigger problems, not only for you, but them and everything else. And why? Why? It's just the stupidest thing in the world. Well, they did it because of this. Well, maybe they didn't. You can feel like they did, but it doesn't mean that's the truth. So, at any rate. I got a couple extra bonuses in this chat today. But hey, we'll round this off here at this point. Gonna appreciate you talking or listening. I'm talking. Comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share with your friends, your family. I try to keep things clean and just talk about the things that are coming up today. And I know it's mostly my opinion because I'm the only one talking here, and it's my perspectives, and I don't always get it right either. I'm well aware of that. But at the end of the day, I'm about freedom of choices, and I respect your choices being different than mine. That's fine. But that doesn't mean you're right. It doesn't mean my choices are right. But we want to support each other in having the ability to have those choices and those freedoms. That's what's most important, people. That is what started this country in being great. Stop trying to force people to live your way. Just circling back to the firearms thing, stop trying to ban them and start insisting that the criminals get punished severely for these crimes. Stop licking their wounds and stroking their head going, oh, poor you. No. If you can't handle dealing with your own emotions, get some help. Don't harm other people. They didn't do anything to you. And trust me, this is coming from a person who was bullied their entire school life from everybody. I'm still here, and I didn't have to hurt anybody. Well, all right. Happy 4th of July to the United States of America. And go see Indiana Jones 5. Form your own opinion about it. And I will say one more thing on that before I go. The movies that Disney's put out that's been controversial. I'm going to say I don't think a cartoon has necessarily a specified gender. So they don't need to be specified as non-binary. Their gender roles are implied based on their conduct, which is well up to the viewer. If you're going to come out and say, hey, this is their first non-binary character, then I'm out. It doesn't need to be about that. Make the movie. If the movie's about binary, non-binary garbage, then maybe it fits the character to be that way. If it's about other stuff and you're rolling that in there, that's when I'm checking out. I'm not paying attention to that. I'm not going to watch it. I don't care. I don't need to know that junk. Just my thoughts. Glad to wrap it up there. I enjoyed Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. Go see it. Tell me what you think. And happy 4th of July. Be safe. Stay within the law. And we'll talk to you next time. This is Eric within the Real.